Okay, my fellow American, today we're going to have a little conversation about the upcoming election, about President Biden and the power that the Supreme Court gave to Trump with his immunity. President Biden should consider using that power because this could be in his favor. Because according to the Supreme Court, okay, the president could do whatever he wants, including arresting his opponent and put him in jail. And it's okay. But guess what? Biden is still the president as we speak. And Donald Trump is his opponent. So the Supreme Court was doing it on and doing a favor to Trump. But Joe Biden may end up being the beneficiary of this law. Because as a president, yes, he got all the right in the world. And I'm going to explain this to you. We're going to have this conversation because this is a smart conversation. Okay? And he got all the reason to pull Trump out of this, to go after Trump if he want to. But he's such a decent man. He may not do it. Trump would have done it, but he may not do that. Because, check this out. Something is wrong with the election law in the United States of America. Because how do you explain the fact that with the conviction of Donald Trump, okay, Trump is found guilty for sexual assault. The judge even said that he's guilty of rape. That's not me saying it. That's the judge saying it. Okay? Now check this out. I don't know if he could do an executive order or whatever it is, because you imagine right now, Trump cannot, if Trump wanted to work, let's say to drive an Uber and they did a background check, he would not get the job because of his his conviction, of his criminal record. He could not drive a school bus. He could not work in a cafeteria of a school. Now, don't think I'm making this stuff up, okay? Because this is what it is. Okay, he couldn't own a firearm. He couldn't. He not supposed to. He's supposed to, okay, he actually turned his firearms in many states right now. And this is not accusation. This is conviction we're talking about. He's convicted in New York of falsifying business record. He's for E.G. and Carroll. Okay, now with his criminal record, let's go back again. He couldn't even work for New York City Park and Recreation or any park and recreation in the country to clean the park or to pick up flowers or to plant flowers. He couldn't do this job. He would, a criminal background check on Trump would eliminate him from getting such a job. But you want to tell me, still, he could run for president? Okay, so let's say Joe Biden, with the immunity given to him by the Supreme Court of the United States, decided to yank his ass, pull him out of the election. If he could send a SEAL team after his opponent with the power given to him by the Supreme Court, this is nothing. Another thing he could do, he could actually, President Biden could add more judges to the Supreme Court to create a balance of power between all these crazy Republicans including Clarence Thomas, the Uncle Tom, and all the other people that Trump put there, and put some more people to balance or to put more than the right. This is power given to him by the same Supreme Court. And as long as he do it as a president, he could do it. He's free to do it. Trump is no longer president. All right, I wanted to pass this by you. But like I was saying, is that something has to be done. They have to do something about election in this country. You cannot let somebody like Trump participate in an election. I don't mind right now because I know that he's not going to be elected. He's going to lose the election. There's no doubt in my mind because he lost. He's been losing every election from 2016 till today. Okay, if he was going to win, Biden would have never been elected president. But he tried to be a dictator. He said he's going to be a dictator. Yeah, that's a good motive. That's a good reason for Biden to pull him out of grab him and put him somewhere to prevent him from being a dictator. He would have done it with the power given to him by the Supreme Court. Okay? Now, the white supremacists, the white nationalists who Trump's supposed to be representing, those guys, the people who really are the MAGA voters who's supporting Trump, having big problem with his new VP choice. Because first of all, they hate gays. This guy, now they find out that he used to be gay, even though I didn't know you could just stop being gay. I thought gay was like the Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Once gay, always gay. Okay, but he said no. The biggest problem they're having with him is his wife is Indian. And then his kids, they have Indian names. Then during the convention, his wife went on the podium and gave a speech, while inside the podium, inside the arena, there's a bunch of people walking around with signs about mass deportation. That's all it was all about, mass deportation. They want Trump to deport everybody who's illegal, legal, they don't like you, whatever. Okay. And then the lady pop up, come to the podium to give her speech, and come to find out, she's an Indian. She's not white. Then what's so crazy, she gave a speech talking about her husband is such a great cook. He stopped eating hamburgers in American food. Now he's a big fan of Indian food. It's like she put a knife in the heart of those white nationalists who was in there listening to this speech. So guess what? They all online right now, and they're talking about what is going on here. This guy got a wife who's Indian. He got kids with Indian names, and now he's cooking curry. He's cooking Indian food. Knowing Trump, it was Steve Bannon who's in jail. Everybody now, I know they're working on a strategy to get rid of this dude. So remember I told you that before. They're going to try to find a way to make him go.
You know who's not happy about J.D. Vance being selected? MAGA Republicans who woke up and realized that J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, happens to be Indian American, and her parents are Indian immigrants. And their children, 3 of them, at least 2 of them, have classic Indian names like Vivek and Ewan. And there's pictures of the family Vance that are being circulated by MAGA, criticizing them and sometimes putting them up against what people claim to be Democratic families of blonde, blue-eyed white people. And even Nick Fuentes, who, by the way, has a connection to Donald Trump, is an alt-right white supremacist who has a podcast. Even he questioned out loud about whether and how they should accept J.D. Vance and how they can trust him on immigration when he has a family that looks like that. I am not making this up. Here's what Nick Fuentes, supporter of the Proud Boys, supporter of all of the marches in Charlottesville, this is what he just said.
J.D. Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity? Like, there's a white genocide going on in the world. White people are being systematically replaced in America and Europe through immigration and to a much lesser extent due to intermarrying. This guy has a non-white wife and a kid named Vivek. This guy is going to be a defender of white identity? I don't think so. This guy's going to defend American identity? If he does, it's going to be no better than any of these other civic nationalists like Vivek Ramaswamy. How else could you countenance American identity if you have a mixed up family like that?
And then he goes on to say, I am not making this up, folks. He goes on to say, hey, what gives with all the race mixing and brown baby names where my real Caucasian family's at? That's from Nick Fuentes' podcast. He's a MAGA. He's a supporter of Donald Trump. And Usha, who clerked for John Roberts, Supreme Court Justice, she's a lawyer, who also clerked for Brett Kavanaugh before he became a United States Supreme Court Justice, who purportedly was Democrat, is a practicing Hindu, and apparently the family is too, took to the stage at the RNC convention, a stage where they were chanting just moments before and around her about mass deportations and locking up immigrants. And yet she took the stage glowing about her husband, J.D. Vance, who at his prior life as an author, making the author's circuit, said that Donald Trump was America's Hitler, that he is a needle in the arm of America. That's not a thumbs up for what he's saying. I'm just reporting it. That Donald Trump, this is J.D. Vance now, is a needle in the arm of America, right? That he's a drug that should be rejected, that he's an idiot, and that he's going to lead the country to ruin. That J.D. Vance. And now MAGA is waking up and they're saying, who is this J.D. Vance guy? And why does he have a brown wife? I mean, I'm giving you like my artist rendering of their opinions. I mean, there's enough social media out there that indicates that they were as surprised as anybody by the selection. I mean, for instance, let me just for a moment, just to sort of round this out as MAGA loses its mind over Usha. Let's just go through it here, just so you understand what I'm talking about. Or the headline that I liked from one of the news outlets was racist maggots find out Trump's VP pick J.D. Vance has an Indian wife and family, and they're not okay with it, as if they have a choice. One Trump supporter posted a picture of JD, a beardless JD with his wife holding one of their children a number of years ago, and just said, I'm sure this guy is going to be great on immigration. Another one posted Trump VP nominee JD Vance and his Indian wife, she's Indian American, by the way, have 3 children named Uwan, Vivek, and Mirabelle. He's not one of us. Another posted a photo of a large, white, blonde, blue-eyed family next to a picture of J.D. Vance, his wife Usha, and 2 of their children, and said, what went wrong? Another posted just a picture of them when a beardless J.D. Vance, a number of years ago, with his wife, saying just this following. J.D. Vance's wife is Indian, by the way. Another one named Adolf Hipster said the problem isn't that his wife is Indian, but that she's not a Christian, and his children all have Indian Hindu names. By the way, I'm not sure Mirabelle is an Indian Hindu name, but let's leave it at that. She spoke tonight. This is him. This is this guy commenting about her speech, the same speech at the convention where people are chanting for mass deportation of people like her parents. She spoke tonight about how Vance gave up his traditional American diet. Oh, here we go. We're getting very close to Dr. Strangelove territory now. The traditional American diet. To adopt veganism with her and learn how to cook Indian vegan food for her family. This makes Vance an emasculated cuck, C-U-C-K, inside his own household and family. And it gets worse.
Because the harassment that I'm seeing online coming from the white nationalist supporters of Trump after this guy is not going to stop. And remember, the last vice president Trump had, he urged his supporters to kill him, to hang him. Okay, I'm not making that stuff up. I'm sure you heard about January 6th. Even Pence, his former VP, actually did a prayer and called his wife and said, listen, babe, I may not come home. Okay? I'm not making this stuff up. He tried to kill him. So now, how do Trump get rid of this guy? It's either they're going to put the pressure on him to resign, he's going to have to take somebody else. How did they just pick him because he thought the guy was a redneck? You cannot judge the book by its cover like that, dumbass. So guess what? Now it turned out to be something totally different. And Steve Bannon locked up in jail, working. They're trying to figure out. They're gonna have to either call the goon squad and tell them to keep calling and keep harassing the guy's wife, because she's getting a lot of harassment already. Because listen, you know what's so stupid? Trump could have. Okay, his opponent was Nikki Haley, who's also Indian, and she had a bunch. When you running for president, you pick somebody who's gonna add to what you have. You don't pick somebody who's gonna make the people you already have happy. And that's a stupid move he made, because his instinct is so dumb and stupid. He think that if all the people following me, they're rednecks, they're going to love this guy. But he's not thinking about bringing more people in. Okay? But he didn't know the guy was a former gay guy. He didn't know the guy was, his wife was Indian and he had kids with Indian names. And I'm going to show you what some of the white supremacists are saying. And right now, it's either this guy may have to wake up one day and just, because he's not as racist as Trump thought he was. Because if he was, he would never marry an Indian woman. This guy was in the military. He was gay. He has all the reason to be a Democrat. He represents exactly what those people hate the most. I don't know, man. Okay? But remember, I told you about it. So don't be surprised next week if you hear either he resigned or Trump just fired him. And Trump would come out and say, listen, I didn't know the guy was all this bad. It wasn't my choice. He's going to put somebody else under the bus. It was my wife or my cousin or my son. According to him, it was some billionaire who's giving him money, who suggested he picked this guy. So he's going to find a way to get rid of him. And things are really going bad for him now with that VP. Okay?